Hello, Nicholas Lee back for another film Odyssey video. As I alluded to in my last video, I let it be known that what I was wanting to do with this channel and have it be not only film reviews, but film news. So I have a number of topics I'm going to talk about in this video. So I just wanted to get started. The Odyssey. It's been its box office success. I congratulate the film and production, Emma Thomas, producer, Christopher Nolan, and the whole cast and crew. Matt Damon, Tom Holland, Anne Hathaway, John Bernthal, Lupita Nyong'o, Zendaya, Betty Safdie, Amish Patel, everybody. To see the box office success that it has had, and for me was not unexpected, but very welcome for this ancient Greek mythology adaptation. It's a wonderful film, and I couldn't be happier for it. So, a hearty congratulations to everybody. Christopher for his audience score as his highest rated film on Rotten Tomatoes. The film entering IMDb's highest rated films. That is so cool to see. And now I'll move on to the next story I want to talk about, which is I'm going to go through a few stories that this is my first news video, so I'm going to touch on some topics that were from a few weeks ago to some time ago, but I still want to talk about them just to catch up a bit. So one of my favorite action crime films of the 90s is Michael Mann's Heat with Robert De Niro and Al Pacino and Val Kilmer. The incredible action in it, the drama, seeing Al Pacino and Robert De Niro on screen probably for the first time. I love that film. I will review it one of these days, I'm sure. But a long gestating work, which this sequel began with a novel that Michael Mann wrote. Heat 2, that has been plans made for that novel to be made into the sequel. There's been a lot of development on it over years now, but the basis of that book will be the impetus for Heat 2 film. So the casting, there's been a lot over the years with Adam Driver was one of the first ones. So, and he has been announced recently, has been in talks for the sequel. But what has been officially basically confirmed is that Leonardo DiCaprio and Christian Bale are the two leads, with Christian Bale playing Al Pacino's role and Leonardo DiCaprio playing Val Kilmer's role, and also Stephen Graham. So what they're doing with this is it's going to be, from what I understand, it's going to jump around in time, different time periods. Stephen Graham playing Robert De Niro's role. So there will be elements of prequel, sequel elements, such as The Godfather Part 2. So that's really exciting to see a return of Michael Mann to that world, and just the action in that first film is so incredible. It's one of the greatest action films of all time with those sequences. the police shootouts in LA and stuff. So to see and something on the level they spoke about it, and from what people have heard and talks about, it's going to be globetrotting and have action up to the level of John Wick, or they have ambitions to get to that level and even exceed that kind of action. So to hear about that is quite an amazing prospect to look forward to that film. So I'm really excited for that, and I want to see more development on it and see it cross the finish line, and for Michael Mann to get back in the director's chair and make another film. Just really excited. So can't wait for that. So that's Heat 2. Another development has been talked about for some time now is like going back, Michael Mann's first film, Thief, is produced by Jerry Bruckheimer. Another upcoming Jerry Bruckheimer sequel to the original, Tom Cruise starring, Tony Scott directed, their re-team after Top Gun, Days of Thunder from 1990, is Days of Thunder 2 in development now, which I love that first film, NASCAR racing, Daytona. It's just really fun. Look back on more fondly now than maybe it was when it was first released. Contemporaneous reviews, fans look back on it really fondly, and it's to see that return for Tom Cruise. He's going to have his success this year with Alejandro Gonzalez Inarritu's Digger. That movie hit Tom Cruise returning to not one of his IP, or it's an original film, an idea. So to see that and have satirical elements, and to see him to dive into that is going to be really cool. It's talked about that his next project that he's working on, that is hopefully it's going to be going into production next year. So we can hope for that, maybe coming out in 2028. So that'll be like Top Gun and Top Gun Maverick, 36 years in between the original and the sequel. If it comes out in 2028, that's 38 years after that one. So I'm a fan of largely legacy sequels and bringing these, but it has to be a movie that you feel could potentially have a sequel after all these years, and make it work and have it be really well done and well written, and the story be appropriate for the amount of time that's passed. So, and it's from for the sequel, the director of 50/50 and Warm Bodies and Long Shot. So that's a really interesting pairing of a project for that director to do this. So I'm really intrigued to see what they do with it. I know there's been talk of, because Joseph Kosinski, the director of Top Gun Maverick, on the press tour for F1, which is a great racing movie, Brad Pitt, from last year. They talked about and teased the idea of a F1 Days of Thunder crossover. Now that would be cool as more of a novelty. I want to see more. I would prefer myself to see more of a straight up F1 sequel and a Days of Thunder sequel in their own respective universes. I don't think they need a crossover. If they did, it'd be cool. But for me, I would be perfectly happy, and I think it would be awesome just to get straight up sequels of both. So that is Days of Thunder 2. Another announcement, this was today, some movie I've been looking forward to. One of the great actors of his generation, and just in general, in my opinion, Johnny Depp, to see him return in a big budgeted studio film. It's going to be really cool. Ebenezer, Christmas Carol. They released a poster for that today. So I'm looking forward to that. Going to see it. It looks cool with the cast announcements. Ian McKellen and Tremel Tillman, Daisy Ridley. It's got a Rupert Grint. It's got a cool cast. So, and again, I'm just looking forward to see Johnny Depp's return. I think that's going to be really cool universe for him to dive into, playing Ebenezer Scrooge, and what Ty West, the director of the X trilogy, what he's going to bring to that. I think that's a really intriguing prospect and idea that I think is going to Christmas movies. You know, they're cool. So looking forward to that. It's Ebenezer, A Christmas Carol. Sticking with the Christmas theme, recently, and it's one of my holiday favorites. It may not be for everybody, but I know it has a lot of fans, and that's really cool. And I'm glad it does, because it's one of Jim Carrey's funniest movies and one of his coolest performances. You know where I'm going with this, but it's Dr. Seuss's How Grinch Stole Christmas. It's getting a sequel. The Grinch 2, with Ron Howard and Jim Carrey. Producer Brian Grazer with their Imagination Entertainment, bringing back a sequel. Now, Jim Carrey talked about recently in the last few years, I think it was on the campaign for Sonic the Hedgehog 3, where he was asked about the Grinch and if he would ever do a sequel. And obviously a lot of people know about his excruciating experience Jim Carrey's with the prosthetic makeup and the hours time it took for him to get all that applied, and that he talked to like CIA guys to try to get through the excruciating experience that he had, just for advice and stuff. I thought that was a really interesting story. But what he said that he would do is he would reprise the role potentially if he could do it with motion capture. And in today's world, I mean, you look at Andy Serkis in Planet of the Apes movies, or him as in Lord of the Rings, obviously, and just with the motion capture technology and Avatar, and what you're able to do with that technology nowadays, that could be really feasible for them to do it that way if that is the direction they're going. So I don't think people should worry about them not bringing back the spirit and vibe of the original with the practical nature of it. I think that they can achieve that with, maybe they could do like a hybrid of a motion capture bodysuit, and then slip to take down the time that he has to be in the chair for the prosthetics. They could just do the face with practical. I think that would be a good combination and advancement of the technology, and for Jim Carrey to allow him to, because he's talked about that he's retiring from movies, but this was a welcome announcement and news to hear, because a lot of people, he hasn't done a movie since a Sonic movie since those began. So to see him return for this, and just at all in another movie, is that we get to see another Jim Carrey movie is going to be awesome. So can't wait for that. It's Grinch 2. Another trailer that was just released today. It's a new trailer. It's the second trailer. There was already one released a while back for Resident Evil. Now, of course, we all know about the Paul W.S. Anderson, Mila Jovovich Resident Evil movies, and I am a fan of those. I think they're cool, fun zombie action movies. Maybe not necessarily great adaptations of the game, but for what they are, they're really fun. And so then you had another attempt at a reboot, which wasn't very successful. So this is another reboot basically, and it takes place during the events of Resident Evil 2. Now, it's directed by Zach Krager, who recently did Barbarian and Weapons, both great new modern horror movies. So to see him tackling this IP and to see what he does with it and bring his unique sensibilities to this property is going to be really cool. And that was the first trailer was great. This trailer is also great. The vibes, the feeling, the new identity that he's bringing to it that is unlike those other movies. And this new movie may, from what I'm seeing and what it might be able to do, is capture the feeling of the video games that the other movies may not have as successfully. So to see it, I think it's going to be really cool, and another cool zombie movie. Fan of zombie movies. So yeah, check that. If you haven't checked the trailer out, or if you don't know much about the movie, it looks really cool. So I'm looking forward to that. Cool vibes. So that's Resident Evil. And another movie that people have been talking about and wanting ever since the third one came out. Obviously, they're huge fan favorite movies. The first one, I'll just say Deadpool. So, the first Deadpool, hugely successful, great blending of the comedy and superhero action, and Ryan Reynolds returning to the Wade Wilson role after X-Men Origins Wolverine, and fulfilling the promise of him, this huge fan of the character, playing this character to such great effect. His comedy sensibilities being brought to it. It just was a really great melding and being brought to fruition of Ryan Reynolds playing Deadpool, because even in the comics, like, he's been described as a Ryan Reynolds type. So it was perfect. And Deadpool 2, really cool also. I like both of them. And then, so the first one was 2016, and then the sequel was 2018, and then there was a several year gap. And those were 20th Century Fox films set in the X-Men universe. So with Deadpool and Wolverine, that movie was brought into the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Another hugely successful film on all levels. The whole trilogy has been just knocked out of the park in terms of its quality and what they were able to do with realizing the potential of a Deadpool movie. And then with the third one, you finally, it was teased a lot in the movies and just on social media with Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman, and then the promise of Deadpool and Wolverine being brought together in a movie, and then how great that was. Hugely successful, $1 billion movie. It kind of went quiet after a while in regards to if there would be another Deadpool movie. So Ryan Reynolds has recently talked about that they're in development on another Deadpool movie. Now, from what I've heard, is that moving forward, I don't know fully the whole legitimacy of it, but it's just kind of just what I'm going off of now, is that Deadpool will be maybe a Deadpool 4 isn't technically what you want to assume that it is going to be fully. That might be more of a ensemble movie with Deadpool in it, of course. Maybe, I mean, in Deadpool 2, they joked about it, and with what happened to them in the movie, like an X-Force. So that might be kind of the movie that they're going for in terms of what this Deadpool follow-up is going to be, that it's going to be more of a team sort of team-up movie with Deadpool at the center and more in the front. So you know that it's Deadpool movie, but that's sort of kind of what we should all assume that it's going to be right now, because I think even Ryan Reynolds has talked about that the character moving forward is going to work now is in the MCU more of a supporting character within this larger universe. I don't think that's a bad thing. I think it could really work in that way. Look at how well Hulk has worked in his supporting sort of role in the movies. So it's sort of what they're doing with Punisher now, and both are in Spider-Man Brand New Day, but the point is that they can utilize these characters in supporting roles in very satisfying ways, that where they don't have to be necessarily at the forefront. But I know that's what most people want, but I feel it could work. So I'm just looking forward to it regardless, for another Deadpool movie. So that's Deadpool. That came out in the last few days, which I thought was really cool, was a RoboCop return. I mean, who doesn't love RoboCop, the original 1987 classic by Paul Verhoeven? That satirical, again, 4-hour times, that the original movie RoboCop, the satirical news TV broadcasts, how, I mean, going in that direction in today's world, bringing that back can be used to timely effect. And they have talked about that's where in the news press release, that's what they're going. They're bringing that element back, which was largely sorely missed in that remake that they did a number of years ago, 2014. So it's awesome. Even RoboCop 2, with the Phil Tippett effects, great. Peter Weller playing that role. They talked about a number of years ago Neil Blomkamp doing a RoboCop Returns movie, which never got off the ground, never went through. I thought that would have been really cool. His sensibilities with District 9 and the other movies that he did, that would have been a really cool pairing for RoboCop. But they're moving forward with a RoboCop TV show, so really looking forward to that too. And I didn't hate the reboot, but the potential can be for a new adaptation can be much higher achieved. And I think a long form television show with RoboCop, I think you can really do something special with that. So I'm actually really looking forward to that. Love RoboCop. The movie just had the original movie just had its 39th anniversary the other day. So really good time to bring this back. I think it's going to work really well in today's world, and that I could have a lot to say. So it's going to be really fun to see. So that's it for this segment. I will be doing another video tomorrow. Most of my movie releases will be of theatrical movies. There will be exceptions sometimes when it's a movie that I'm really looking forward to, or a movie that, like this, was supposed to be a theatrical movie. It was made as a theatrical movie, but went straight to streaming, and there's been a lot of controversy, with it leaking and stuff, but it's a movie sequel to Avatar: The Last Airbender, the show, a Nickelodeon animated show from the 2000s. This follow-up movie called Avatar: Aang: The Last Airbender. Now, of course, in between these, you had The Legend of Korra, which was a great show also. I will be reviewing this movie because it releases in the next few days, and I will get that review out. So that is incoming. So thanks for watching, everybody. This has been Nicholas Lee for Film Odyssey.